Hello. From now on, this channel is about purpose. Because this channel is about freedom, and freedom comes from purpose. And purpose comes from God. Purpose is the pathway to God. Just as purpose is the pathway to presence. God gave each of us a specific, perfectly designed purpose. If you stray from that purpose, if you do things that disconnect you from that purpose, quite frankly, you die. You may be biologically alive. You may be physically alive. You may be existing. But you are not fully connected to the divinity within your heart. It's like if a rose tried to be a yarrow, or it tried to be a daffodil, or it tried to be a parrot. The rose would die. It would wither away. Somehow human beings have gotten really good at convincing themselves that it's okay to do things that are misaligned with divinity. Somehow we've built an entire structure and system that accepts this zombification as life. This is delusion. This is deceit, and this is the antithesis of freedom. Freedom is embodying your purpose. Freedom is the feeling of aliveness that you feel when you engage in your purposeful activity. Now, does this mean that you need to instantaneously know what your grand mission and purpose is? Oh, nice table. Not necessarily. You don't have to know it all. In fact, you won't. Because there are layers and layers of pain and programming. One second. That must first be shed. Whee! But the pain itself is your body's way of communicating to you when you're not in alignment with your purpose. The pain is an indicator of something that stands in the way, that is preventing the full, free fruition of your soul. Look at these little flowers. There's these little flowers. They're just perfect little emanations, spherical emanations of God's creation. And they did not experience a single aspect of struggle or like forcefulness to get to where they are, to be alive and to smell so fragrant and delicious. They smell amazing. And to imbue this magnificent floral color that it gives life to the world on behalf of God. It's like an omnipresent temple of reverence all over the earth that infuses the world with the light of the sun, and the light within the sun is God, to say I am, to say God has given me my purpose, I will thus shine as an emanation of beauty. And that resplendence itself is freedom. That is true freedom. True freedom is not forcefulness. It is not the genetically modified cousin of that flower, which has been modified by techno-scientific knowledge to look some kind of way, to cater to our aesthetic desires and impulses in a capitalistic, consumeristic world. That is not freedom. That is enslavement to temporary instantaneous gratification that fills the void of purposelessness, which is capital punishment and capitalism. Capital punishment and capitalism are synonymous because capitalism in our current world is designed to punish authenticity, is designed to punish freedom. My mind wants to debate about that. We're going to set that aside for now. I'm not necessarily talking about capitalism itself. I'm talking about the extractive system that we're currently living in. This paradigm of extraction, consumption, and the proliferation of purposelessness, of empty consumption and consumerism. The solution to that is to become so deeply nourished by your own passions that they become your purpose, that you almost don't even need sustenance from the external world because you are so fully, soulfully nourished by the presence of God breathing itself through your passion into your purpose. Freedom is that feeling of absolute abundance that you feel when you engage in your purposeful activity. Now, earlier, I started stumbling and saying, you don't have to have absolute mastery. You don't need to know the grand purpose. You don't need to know what your grand mission is. You don't need to know it all immediately. Your purpose can begin with your passion, step by step revealing the grand mission that it conceals. The grand mission that is concealed underneath the layers of shedding that needs to happen as you pursue your passion and allow that to become the cornerstone of your being. Allow your heart to become your guide, prayerfully rooted in God. Your heart without God is nothing. It is dead. It might be pulsing, it might be keeping you alive, but it needs God. Without God, we are nothing. So that God is the ultimate purpose. What I was trying to get at. One second. Purpose. Purpose is also simply being fully present with whatever you're doing. It is, since purpose is life, since purpose is just flowers coming into being, since purpose is just animals doing what they're designed to do, since purpose is just alignment with God's will, purpose becomes just being fully present, and might you even say grateful for whatever activity you're doing in the moment, not to multitask and do a trillion things at once, like the fucking doom scrolling TikTok where there's like a Family Guy video and a fucking satisfying video and then whatever else, an Andrew Tate compilation. Like the overstimulation, the need to distract, the need to keep your mind elsewhere than right here, right now. To keep your mind focused on anything external rather than what your body is communicating to you, what your actions are asking of you. I'm overcomplicating this, it feels. Being fully present with whatever activity you're doing rather than multitasking. Let's say that you're gardening, and at the same time you're like listening to a podcast about productivity or about spirituality or whatever it might be. That is one step of taking you away from full presence in what you are doing, in listening sonorously to the phonetic vibration of your surroundings. You are creating a layer of separation by having the podcast playing. Or as you're cooking your food, you're listening to a YouTube video. You're not fully present with the food. You're present with the food and with the YouTube video. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. And maybe there's a way of being present with multiple things at once. But the point is simply presence itself, leading to purpose, to attunement and awareness that, like, I am here, I am doing this. There's a difference between listening to a podcast while you're doing things, while you're cooking, while you're gardening, and doing so really presently and like still fully present with everything, rather than like you are gardening because it's your job and therefore you're turning on the podcast because you like want to get through the job faster. Or if you work a warehouse, or if you work a restaurant shift and you're dishwashing, like if usually you're going to put on the headphones and the podcast and the music to like numb out, which is distraction, which is avoidance. And that is not purpose. That's what I'm trying to get at. Being fully present, being fully aware, being consciousness, being I am. This is a fundamental part of purpose. And so that's one of the first steps to discovering your purpose, to embodying your purpose, is just to increase your level of awareness, to reduce the overthinking, to reduce the anxiety about the past of like, oh, well, this bad thing happened to me, and like looping over and over and over and over and like repeating that thing in your head, or worrying about the future and what are these people going to think if I do this, and oh, should I be wearing this, that, the other thing. Like, be fully present here and now as I am, as you are. And that allows you to perceive your environment, which is co-constitutive with your own self, and to recognize the awareness of God that is omnipresent in all things, that is always speaking in our surroundings. To reduce the distractions by becoming aware and recognizing what is happening, what is here. This is one of the steps to purpose, which is simultaneous with the reducing of distractions and with the noticing, as you're aware, of the impulses that get you to reach for your phone, that get you to reach for food, that get you to think endless thought loops about the past or the future. With more awareness, with deeper breath, with deeper presence, with more purposeful, intentional relating to your own existence, to your own life, you begin to ask, why is that there? Why am I overthinking right now? Why am I reaching for my phone? Is it purposeful or is it compulsive? Is it an impulse? Is it automatic? Is it habituation? We're the first step. We're still in the first step. This is all an elucidation of the first step. Awareness, removal of distractions, and just observing, being, presence. Asking curiously, gratefully, what is being communicated here by God's universal will through my body, through the world, to me, to I am. I forget what else I was saying. as you take account of your own patterns, compulsive, impulsive, towards distraction, and you notice kind of what's at their root, you can begin to feel more deeply into them, to sit with deeper awareness as to what they actually are. Maybe an overthinking thought loop is actually a pain within your heart. And maybe that pain within your heart is a memory of your past that is somatically stored. And it needs more awareness. Awareness heals. Love heals. And as you clear away the layers of distraction and you begin to listen to the pathways that open up, to the pains that communicate, to the inspiration that pours out, the purpose, like the direction, the mission, begins to reveal itself. Like bubbling ideas, like David Lynch would say. The ideas begin to well up. If you are distracted, you are like confining your creative essence. You're confining the creative, living, breathing presence of God from expressing itself. And it's just like when I was talking about the flowers, the flowers and the people who want to genetically, technoscientifically modify them to cater to our impulses and desires to have particular kinds of flowers that look a particular kind of specific way, to cater to our specific desires to escape ourselves so that we can numb our pain of purposelessness. I forget what I was saying with that. Any distraction, any avoidance pattern is like that entire system that tries to probe into the flower, into the genetic sequence of the flower, to manipulate it into being something that it is not designed to be by the omnipresent hand of God. It is a refusal of God's perfection, and it is saying, we can do it better. I want it some other way. And fundamentally, that is the Antichrist. So, the image that comes to mind for me with that kind of behavior, with distraction, compulsive, endless distraction, impulse towards always wanting to avoid your own pain, is like saying to God, actually, I don't trust you. I trust what I can know. I trust what is certain according to the standards of a dying world. And okay, I said image. What I meant, the image is the earth being covered by concrete. And the concrete trying to like prevent things from coming into bloom. All of these flowers, all of these plants. Like the concrete wants to keep life as if it didn't exist. It wants to keep life dead. And when you distract yourself compulsively and impulsively, and you stay entrapped in anxiety and overthinking and refusal to actually feel presence in your body, then there is a similarity between accepting those patterns, choosing those patterns, letting those patterns dictate your life into purposelessness because they are perpetual. There is a similarity between these patterns and the entire concrete jungle, the entire banking infrastructure, the entire capital punishment capitalism structure. So that if we are all microcosms of the macrocosmic ripples we create, then not only do we heal ourselves by refusing to be distracted and by allowing ourselves choosing to be purposeful. But then we are also healing those structures themselves. I'm going to leave it at that. Purpose is presence, and purpose is the pathway to God, and I have so much more to say about purpose. So let us discover purpose together. Thank you.